I'm Jesse. I'm the guy that writes these Symphony Pacific Daily Times editorials. They're often syndicated at ChinaDailyMail.com. And of course, they're available at Pacific Daily Times. We got a comment this week. And we get these from time to time. But I think it's time to talk about China. The very first article that I wrote when I was invited to write for China Daily Mail was China's like any other country in the world, except China really isn't a country; it's an empire. I mean, historically, it has a lot of different cultures, cities, languages, a lot of territory. It talks about we need to control this and take this, and that's ours, and we need to have it back. That's empire. It's like Greece or Rome or the Holy Roman Empire of Europe, or Babylon or Persia. It's like one of those. It's not a kind of like Germany was, kind of like France was under Napoleon. It's one of these expand things. And that's an empire. You have to understand China as a type of empire. Okay, that's neither here nor there. That's not good or bad. It's just interesting. China is not, I see. I'd say that it's not like Germany, but Germany was expansionist. I'd say it's not like Japan, but Japan was expansionist. Japan was an empire. It had an emperor. It still has an emperor. It's not one of these happy little leave us alone, let us be countries like Australia or Canada. China wants to grow and they have aspirations and they make those aspirations known to the world. So you can't think of China as a country. You have to think of it as an empire. But, an empire, I suppose, is a country. And that doesn't really matter. That's not good or bad. China, like any country or empire, has good and bad. Nothing in the world is perfect. To say something's perfect is to lie. If you want people to believe that you tell the truth, then you never claim to be perfect. So, no one needs to say that China has problems because they exist. It's like saying that the sky is blue on a sunny day. It's like saying that rain comes from clouds. There's some things you don't need to say. Of course, China and America and Italy and Japan and the Bahamas and Argentina, and let's name every country on the planet, and let's go to Mars. Of course, everything has problems. At Pacific Daily Times, we do not have a bias for or against any country. Now, myself, as an editor, I have only one bias, and that is that I'm right. That's what writers do. So I don't have a problem with China growing. And we got a comment this week. It was this is so sad. It was a passive-aggressive thing. And China Daily Mail's staff responded, and they said, could you please cite examples of what you're talking about? Why it's so sad that someone can't accept a growing China. Can't accept a growing China. No. A growing China is great. China needs to grow. The world needs big countries to be big, and they need empires to act like empires. We've got too many people in the world who have an ability to make a change and make a difference, and they're not making a difference. So if the United States can be big and powerful, good. If China can be big and powerful, good. If Russia can be big and powerful, good. Now, let's have everybody be however big they are and be strong as they are. That's what we need. We need good people and big people being good and big. There's no evidence. You will not find any evidence of an objection to China growing. The only opinion you will read at Pacific Daily Times is what was foreseeable. what could be seen. What's also the part of the story that you won't read in most of the press? Another thing you'll see at Pacific Daily Times is trends in the media. Rush Limbaugh does the world a favor with his media montages. 10 reporters from 10 different news agencies will say the identical phrase in the same afternoon, and they're supposedly not connected. That happens all the time. And Limbaugh's staff puts them together and shows people. There are trends that show up in the news media because they're part of a group thing. I don't think there's a conspiracy among them. There might be, but who cares? The big obvious part about the news media is that they are a group think. And they all kind of sort of think alike. And that trends in the media need to be seen. When you've got 10 different people saying the same thing, that's not 10 different opinions. That's one single opinion. Now, the Western press loves to hate China. I disagree with that. There's no reason for the West to hate China. The West does not need China to fail. We don't need that. The West can succeed and China can succeed. But there are certain things that are foreseeable. And there are certain things that are foreseeable dependent on choices. If we go right, we will end up farther right. If we go left, we will end up farther left. So, this week, they went farther right. Guess what? We're going to end up farther right. Oh, next week, we're going farther left. Guess what? We're going to end up farther left. It doesn't take a genius to figure these things out. And what is foreseeable is all that the Times talks about. I, Jesse Steele, and Pacific Daily Times wishes all the best for China and their success. China kicked out American missionaries, which was a very good thing. Some American missionaries might have managed to stay, and once in a while, they're unusual people that make a really good difference, and they're not part of the normal thing. But by and large, kicking out the American missionaries was a very good thing China did for the Chinese people and for the American missionaries. Mike Bickle said, China kicked out all the American missionaries and revival broke out in China. He said, there, I said it. China's done a good job with a lot of things. As for China's problems, it's not for the West to say. China needs to figure out their own problems and how to solve them. So leave China's problems alone and focus on your own problems. Thank you.